Sarah Martinez had always been different from other girls in her small Texas town. While her classmates painted their nails and talked about boys, she spent weekends at the shooting range with her grandfather, a Vietnam veteran who taught her that a steady hand and clear mind could overcome any obstacle. By age 16, she could hit a target at 300 yards with iron sights, a skill that impressed even the most experienced hunters in her community. Her decision to join the military surprised no one who truly knew her. Sarah had watched her older brother return from Afghanistan with haunted eyes and a purple heart, and she understood the weight of service. But when she announced her intention to attempt Navy SEAL training, the reactions ranged from uncomfortable laughter to outright dismissal. Her high school guidance counselor suggested she consider nursing instead. Her mother worried about her safety. Even her grandfather, who had taught her everything about firearms, questioned whether she understood what she was getting into. The physical requirements alone seemed impossible for someone of her build. Sarah stood 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed barely 120 pounds. The other candidates towered over her, their muscles bulging beneath camouflage uniforms as they prepared for the most grueling military training program in the world. During the initial fitness assessments, whispers followed her everywhere. Instructors exchanged glances when they thought she wasn't looking. Some fellow candidates made jokes about how long she would last before washing out. But Sarah had spent years preparing for this moment. She had trained relentlessly, pushing her body beyond its limits every single day. She could run faster than most men twice her size, swim like a dolphin through rough waters, and carry heavy equipment for miles without complaint. Her endurance was legendary among those who had trained with her during basic military preparation. Yet none of that seemed to matter to the people who decided her fate. The first day of SEAL training brought challenges that broke grown men within hours. Candidates were forced to carry heavy logs as a team, crawl through mud under barbed wire, and complete obstacle courses that seemed designed by someone who hated the human body. Sarah watched as muscular candidates twice her size collapsed from exhaustion, their dreams shattered before the sun had set on their first day. She kept moving, her grandfather's voice echoing in her mind, reminding her that mental toughness trumped physical strength every time. During water survival training, Sarah's smaller frame actually became an advantage. She could hold her breath longer than most candidates and navigate underwater obstacles with an agility that impressed even skeptical instructors. Her swimming times consistently ranked in the top 5% of her class. When candidates were forced to tread water for extended periods while being splashed and harassed by instructors, Sarah's calm demeanor stood out among the chaos. She had learned to control her breathing and heart rate during hunting trips with her grandfather, skills that served her well in the most stressful situations. The shooting portions of training revealed Sarah's true talent. While other candidates struggled with accuracy under pressure, she consistently placed shots exactly where they needed to go. Her groupings were tighter than those of candidates who had been shooting since childhood. Instructors noticed but said nothing, their expressions unreadable behind dark sunglasses. Sarah understood that being good wasn't enough. She had to be perfect to earn their respect. As weeks turned into months, the dropout rate climbed steadily. Candidates who had seemed invincible during the first week were gone by the third. Sarah remained, her determination unwavering despite the constant psychological pressure. Instructors seemed particularly focused on breaking her spirit, pushing her harder than others during physical challenges, and questioning her commitment at every opportunity. They told her that SEAL teams were no place for someone like her, that she was taking a spot away from more qualified candidates. The mental warfare was perhaps more difficult than the physical challenges. Sarah lay awake at night in her barracks, surrounded by empty bunks that had once housed fellow candidates. She wondered if the instructors were right, if she was fooling herself into believing she belonged in this elite brotherhood. Her body ached constantly, covered in bruises and cuts from daily training. Her hands were raw from rope climbing and carrying heavy equipment. Every muscle fiber screamed for relief that never came. But each morning Sarah rose before dawn and prepared for another day of proving herself. She had come too far to quit now, regardless of what anyone else believed about her capabilities. The thought of returning home as a failure motivated her more than any instructor's encouragement ever could. She had made a promise to herself and to her grandfather's memory that she would see this through to the end, no matter what obstacles stood in her way. The other remaining candidates began to respect her quiet determination. They had watched her survive challenges that eliminated much larger and seemingly stronger men. Her technical skills were undeniable, and her refusal to complain or make excuses impressed even the most skeptical among them. Sarah had earned her place through performance rather than politics, a fact that became increasingly difficult for anyone to ignore as training continued. The Hell Week arrived like a storm that everyone could see coming, but no one could truly prepare for. 5.5 days of continuous training with only 4 hours of sleep total, designed to push human endurance beyond its breaking point. Sarah watched as candidates who had survived months of preparation collapsed within the first day, their bodies and minds unable to cope with the relentless pressure. The beach became a graveyard of abandoned dreams, marked by helmets left behind by those who rang the bell, signaling their surrender. During surf torture, candidates were forced to link arms and sit in the freezing Pacific Ocean while waves crashed over their heads. The cold water felt like thousands of needles piercing exposed skin, and hypothermia became a real threat within minutes. Sarah's smaller body mass made her more vulnerable to the cold, but she had learned techniques for maintaining core body temperature during winter hunting trips in the mountains. She focused on controlled breathing and mental imagery, transporting her mind away from the physical discomfort while her body endured the punishment. The boat crews were reorganized constantly, forcing candidates to work with different teammates under impossible conditions. Sarah found herself carrying inflatable boats that weighed more than she did, her arms burning with exhaustion as sand shifted beneath her feet. When boat crews failed to meet time requirements, everyone suffered additional punishment exercises. Push-ups, sit-ups, and running became a constant background to every activity. Sarah's technique remained perfect, even when her muscles screamed for relief, a testament to years of disciplined training. Food became scarce and precious during Hell Week. Candidates were given minimal nutrition while burning thousands of calories daily. Sarah's metabolism worked in her favor here, requiring fewer calories to function than her larger counterparts. She watched massive candidates waste away before her eyes, their bodies consuming muscle mass to fuel the constant activity. Her hunting experience had taught her to function effectively while hungry, a skill that proved invaluable when meal times were delayed or canceled entirely. The log exercises pushed teamwork to its limits. Telephone pole-sized logs had to be carried, lifted, and maneuvered by boat crews working in perfect synchronization. Sarah's position often required her to bear more weight per pound of body weight than anyone else, but she never complained or asked for lighter duties. Her teammates began to appreciate her determination, understanding that she was pulling more than her fair share despite being the smallest member of any crew she joined. Sleep deprivation created hallucinations that tested mental resilience beyond anything candidates had experienced. Sarah began seeing her grandfather standing at the edge of training areas, offering silent encouragement during the most difficult moments. She knew the visions weren't real, but they provided comfort during times when quitting seemed like the only rational choice. Other candidates talked to imaginary friends or family members, their exhausted minds creating whatever support systems they needed to continue. Medical personnel monitored candidates constantly, watching for signs of serious injury or illness that would require immediate removal from training. Sarah's vital signs remained stable even as larger candidates were pulled aside for medical evaluation. Her years of endurance training had prepared her cardiovascular system for sustained stress, giving her an advantage that no one had anticipated when she first arrived at the training facility. The instructors intensified their psychological warfare against Sarah as Hell Week progressed. They questioned her motivation, suggested she was proving nothing to anyone, and reminded her that SEAL teams operated in environments where physical strength often meant the difference between life and death. They painted vivid pictures of combat scenarios where her teammates might die because she couldn't carry them to safety. Sarah absorbed every criticism without response, understanding that breaking her mentally was their primary objective. During a particularly brutal surf session, one of the remaining candidates began showing signs of serious hypothermia. His lips turned blue, and his speech became slurred as his body temperature dropped dangerously low. Sarah immediately recognized the symptoms from wilderness survival training and alerted the medical staff. Her quick thinking potentially saved the candidate's life, though he was removed from training for medical reasons. The incident demonstrated her ability to maintain situational awareness, even under extreme stress. The rope climbing exercises became a showcase for Sarah's technical abilities. While exhausted candidates struggled to make it halfway up thick ropes, she ascended with fluid motions that conserved energy and demonstrated perfect form. Her grip strength, developed through years of rock climbing and shooting, allowed her to maintain control even when her arms burned with lactic acid. Instructors timed her climbs and noted her consistency, though they offered no verbal recognition of her performance. By the fourth day of Hell Week, the number of remaining candidates had dropped to less than 20% of the original class. Sarah looked around at the survivors and realized she had outlasted men who had seemed invincible just days earlier. Her uniform hung loose on her shrinking frame, but her determination remained as strong as ever. She had proven to herself that mental toughness could overcome physical limitations, a lesson that would serve her throughout her military career. The final day of Hell Week brought relief mixed with exhaustion that penetrated every cell in her body. Sarah had survived the most challenging test of her life, earning the respect of instructors who had doubted her from the beginning. She had demonstrated that excellence couldn't be measured by physical size alone, and that determination could overcome obstacles that seemed impossible to navigate. The advanced marksmanship phase of training separated truly gifted shooters from those who were merely competent. Sarah approached the rifle range with quiet confidence, her grandfather's lessons echoing in her memory as she examined the precision weapons that would become extensions of her body. The M4 carbines and sniper rifles represented the pinnacle of military shooting technology, tools that required absolute mastery to be effective in life-or-death situations. Initial qualification rounds revealed the vast differences in shooting abilities among the remaining candidates. Men who had excelled in physical challenges struggled with accuracy under pressure, their large hands sometimes fighting against delicate trigger controls that required finesse rather than strength. Sarah's smaller fingers allowed for more precise trigger manipulation, and her steady breathing techniques translated perfectly to long-range accuracy. Her first grouping measured less than 1 inch at 100 yards, a performance that caused instructors to examine her target multiple times. The moving target exercises introduced complexity that challenged even experienced shooters. Candidates had to engage pop-up targets while navigating obstacle courses, making split-second decisions about threat identification and shot placement. Sarah's hunting background proved invaluable here, as she had spent countless hours tracking moving deer through dense forest terrain. Her ability to acquire targets quickly and maintain accuracy, while in motion, impressed instructors who had decades of combat experience. Night shooting presented unique challenges that revealed Sarah's exceptional adaptation abilities. Low-light conditions required candidates to rely on different sighting techniques and adjust for variables that didn't exist during daylight hours. Sarah's natural night vision, developed through years of early morning hunting expeditions, gave her significant advantages over candidates who struggled to see targets clearly. Her shot placement remained consistent regardless of lighting conditions, a skill that separated elite shooters from average marksmen. The stress shooting exercises were designed to simulate combat conditions where accuracy mattered most. Candidates had to complete physically exhausting obstacles before engaging targets at various distances, all while instructors created distractions and time pressure. Sarah's heart rate recovery training allowed her to settle quickly after exertion, bringing her pulse down to levels where precise shooting became possible. Other candidates struggled with elevated heart rates that affected their fine motor control and shooting stability. Advanced ballistics instruction covered wind reading, range estimation, and environmental factors that influenced bullet trajectory over long distances. Sarah absorbed this technical information like a sponge, understanding that successful sniping required as much brain power as trigger control. She excelled at calculating holdovers and windage adjustments, skills that would become crucial during actual combat operations. Her mathematical aptitude, previously underestimated by instructors, became apparent as she consistently solved complex ballistics problems faster than her peers. The psychological aspects of precision shooting were perhaps more challenging than the technical requirements. Instructors forced candidates to engage human silhouette targets while under extreme stress, preparing them for the mental challenges of taking human life in combat situations. Sarah's hunting experience had taught her to compartmentalize the emotional aspects of killing, though she understood that ending human life would require different mental preparation than harvesting game animals. Weapon maintenance became a daily ritual that separated professionals from amateurs. Sarah's attention to detail ensured her rifles remained in perfect condition, regardless of environmental challenges. She could field strip and reassemble her weapon in complete darkness, a skill that impressed instructors who had seen combat veterans struggle with similar tasks. Her cleaning techniques were meticulous, understanding that a single grain of sand or drop of moisture could mean the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. The urban shooting scenarios introduced close-quarters combat situations where rapid target acquisition and movement became essential. Sarah's smaller profile allowed her to navigate confined spaces more easily than larger candidates, and her quick reflexes helped her engage multiple targets in sequence. These exercises revealed her natural tactical instincts, as she consistently chose optimal firing positions and movement routes without specific instruction from training staff. Long-range precision shooting separated Sarah from every other candidate in her class. At distances exceeding 800 yards, she consistently placed shots within the vital zones of human-sized targets, a feat that required perfect coordination of breathing, trigger control, and environmental awareness. Her record-setting accuracy caught the attention of senior instructors who had trained some of the military's most accomplished snipers. They began to understand that they were witnessing something truly exceptional. The competitive shooting exercises pitted candidates against each other in timed accuracy challenges. Sarah dominated these competitions, her scores consistently outperforming candidates who had boasted about their shooting abilities during earlier training phases. Her humble demeanor contrasted sharply with the vocal confidence of others, but her targets told the true story of her capabilities. Instructors stopped questioning her shooting skills and began focusing on other aspects of her training. Equipment selection became crucial as candidates advanced to more specialized weapon systems. Sarah demonstrated proficiency with every rifle platform introduced during training, adapting quickly to different scopes, triggers, and ballistic characteristics. Her mechanical aptitude allowed her to optimize weapons for specific mission requirements, understanding how small adjustments could dramatically improve accuracy at extended ranges. She became the unofficial expert among her peer group, helping struggling candidates improve their shooting performance. The final marksmanship evaluations required candidates to engage targets at unknown distances while under time pressure and physical stress. Sarah's performance during these tests established records that would stand for years afterward. Her ability to range targets accurately and make first-round hits at distances exceeding 1,000 yards demonstrated skills that exceeded those of many seasoned combat veterans. Instructors who had initially doubted her capabilities were forced to acknowledge that they had witnessed something truly remarkable. Graduation from SEAL training should have been a moment of pure triumph, but Sarah quickly discovered that earning the Trident was only the beginning of her challenges. The elite team she had trained to join operated under unwritten rules and traditions that had been established long before women were allowed to attempt the program. Her exceptional performance during training had earned grudging respect from instructors, but the operational teams remained skeptical about integrating someone who didn't fit their traditional image of a SEAL operator. Assignment to Team 7 brought Sarah face-to-face with veterans who had completed multiple combat deployments together. These men had saved each other's lives in the mountains of Afghanistan and the deserts of Iraq, forming bonds that couldn't be replicated in training environments. They communicated through glances and subtle gestures developed during years of working in life-or-death situations. Sarah understood that proving herself worthy of their trust would require more than shooting scores and fitness test results. The team leader, Commander Rick Morrison, was a 20-year veteran whose weathered face told stories of countless missions behind enemy lines. He had requested Sarah's assignment after reviewing her training records, but his motivations remained unclear to everyone, including Sarah herself. Morrison had a reputation for turning average operators into exceptional warriors, though his methods were often unconventional and sometimes controversial among military leadership. Initial team training exercises revealed the massive differences between individual skills and team operations. Sarah's marksmanship abilities were undeniable, but integrating those skills into complex team movements required different mental processes than anything she had experienced during training. She had to learn to anticipate her teammates' actions while maintaining awareness of multiple threat vectors and communication channels simultaneously. The Physical demands of team operations challenged Sarah in new ways. While she had survived SEAL training, carrying mission-essential equipment during actual operations required different endurance capabilities. Her teammates' gear weighed the same regardless of their body size, meaning Sarah often carried proportionally more weight than anyone else on the team. Night vision devices, communication equipment, ammunition, and medical supplies combined to create loads that tested her physical limits daily. Team building exercises took place in remote training facilities where failure could result in serious injury or death. Sarah participated in high-altitude parachute jumps, underwater demolition training, and close-quarters combat scenarios that simulated real-world mission conditions. Her teammates watched carefully for signs of weakness or hesitation that might compromise their safety during actual operations. Every mistake was noted and discussed during extensive debriefing sessions. The hazing rituals were subtle but persistent, designed to test Sarah's commitment and mental resilience rather than cause obvious harassment. Senior team members questioned her motivations for joining the SEALs, suggesting she was seeking attention or trying to make political statements rather than genuinely wanting to serve her country. Sarah endured these challenges without complaint, understanding that earning their respect required demonstrating unwavering professionalism under pressure. Combat simulation exercises pushed team coordination to realistic levels of complexity. Sarah learned to call in airstrikes, coordinate with support teams, and navigate hostile territory while maintaining radio silence for extended periods. Her communication skills improved dramatically as she adapted to military terminology and procedures that differed significantly from training environments. She discovered that successful operations required intelligence and adaptability as much as physical prowess. The psychological evaluations continued even after graduation, as military psychologists monitored her integration into the operational team environment. Sarah underwent regular interviews designed to assess her mental stability and identify potential stress factors that might affect mission performance. These sessions were more intensive than those required for male operators, reflecting institutional concerns about women's psychological resilience in combat situations. Advanced medical training prepared Sarah for battlefield conditions where teammates might depend on her skills for survival. She learned to treat gunshot wounds, perform emergency surgery, and stabilize injured personnel under fire. Her steady hands and calm demeanor made her exceptionally effective at medical procedures, skills that her teammates began to appreciate as they realized she could save their lives if they were wounded during operations. Intelligence gathering became Sarah's specialty as team leaders, recognized her natural aptitude for languages and cultural awareness. She demonstrated exceptional abilities in learning foreign languages and understanding local customs that could mean the difference between mission success and failure. Her insights into human behavior helped the team navigate complex situations where cultural sensitivity prevented unnecessary conflicts. Equipment specialists worked with Sarah to customize her gear for optimal performance during missions. Her smaller frame required modifications to standard-issue equipment, but these changes often resulted in improvements that benefited the entire team. Lighter ammunition loads and more compact communication devices enhanced team mobility without sacrificing operational capabilities. Her input influenced equipment development for future SEAL operations. Training intensified as the team prepared for their first deployment together. Sarah participated in joint exercises with other military branches, learning to coordinate with Army Rangers, Air Force Special Operations, and Marine reconnaissance units. These multi-service operations revealed the complexity of modern warfare and demonstrated the importance of interagency cooperation in achieving mission objectives. The final pre-deployment evaluation tested every aspect of team readiness, from individual skills to collective decision-making under extreme stress. Sarah's performance during these exercises convinced even skeptical team members that she belonged among their ranks. Her shooting abilities had evolved beyond individual excellence to become a crucial component of team tactics and strategy. Commander Morrison privately noted that Sarah's integration had strengthened the team's overall capabilities, rather than creating the liability that some had predicted. The deployment to Afghanistan came sooner than expected, triggered by intelligence reports about a high-value target operating in the mountainous regions near the Pakistani border. Sarah's first combat mission would take place in terrain that favored defenders and challenged even experienced operators with its extreme altitude and unpredictable weather patterns. The team received their briefing in a secure facility where maps covered every surface and satellite imagery revealed the complexity of their operational environment. Commander Morrison outlined the mission parameters with clinical precision that belied the deadly nature of their assignment. Intelligence sources had identified a terrorist cell leader responsible for coordinating attacks against coalition forces throughout the region. The target operated from a fortified compound located in a valley surrounded by ridgelines that provided natural observation and defense positions. Traditional military approaches would result in heavy casualties and likely allow the target to escape through established escape routes. Sarah's role in the mission leveraged her exceptional marksmanship skills in ways that SEAL training had prepared her for but never fully tested. She would provide overwatch and precision fire support from an elevated position while her teammates approached the target compound under cover of darkness. The shooting distance would exceed anything she had attempted during training, and environmental factors including altitude and wind would challenge her technical abilities to their limits. Pre-mission preparation consumed 72 hours as the team studied every detail of the operational area. Sarah memorized topographical features, analyzed wind patterns, and calculated ballistic solutions for multiple shooting scenarios. Her rifle was zeroed and re-zeroed to ensure perfect accuracy at the extended ranges she might encounter. Every piece of equipment was checked and double-checked. Understanding that equipment failure in combat could result in mission failure and teammate casualties, the helicopter insertion took place during a moonless night that provided concealment but complicated navigation through mountainous terrain. Sarah's team fast-roped from hovering aircraft onto a landing zone several kilometers from their objective, beginning an approach march that would test their physical conditioning and tactical skills. Each operator carried mission-essential equipment that weighed nearly 100 pounds, transforming the mountain trek into an endurance challenge that lasted throughout the night. Sarah's shooting position was established on a ridgeline that provided clear lines of sight to the target compound while remaining concealed from enemy observation. The distance to her primary targets measured 950 yards, requiring precise calculations for bullet drop and wind drift. She settled into a shooting position that she could maintain for hours if necessary, using natural terrain features to stabilize her rifle and minimize fatigue during extended surveillance periods. The waiting began before dawn, as Sarah monitored the target compound through her high-powered scope, while her teammates maneuvered into assault positions. Her role required patience and mental discipline as she watched for enemy sentries and potential threats that might compromise the mission. Every movement within the compound was reported through quiet radio communications that kept the team informed of changing tactical situations. Enemy activity increased as morning approached, with armed guards taking positions around the compound perimeter. Sarah identified at least 6 hostile targets through her scope, noting their weapons and movement patterns for future reference. Her teammates would need this intelligence to plan their approach routes and timing for the assault phase of the operation. The pressure of providing accurate information while maintaining her own concealment tested her multitasking abilities under stress. The first shot came without warning when an enemy sentry discovered one of Sarah's teammates moving through the valley below. The guard raised his weapon to engage, but Sarah's rifle spoke first, sending a precisely placed bullet across nearly 1,000 yards of mountain air. The target dropped instantly, eliminated before he could alert other defenders or harm her teammate. Her shooting position remained undetected, maintaining the element of surprise for the continuing operation. Additional targets presented themselves as the compound's defenders responded to the initial contact. Sarah engaged each threat with clinical precision, her shots timed to support her teammates' movements and prevent enemy forces from organizing effective resistance. Her ammunition conservation became crucial as the engagement continued, requiring her to make every shot count while maintaining the rapid pace necessary to support the ongoing assault. The terrorist leader attempted to escape through a previously identified exit route, but Sarah's elevated position provided clear observation of his movement. Her final shot of the engagement traveled the farthest distance she had ever attempted in combat, striking the fleeing target at over 1,100 yards. The precision required for this shot demanded perfect coordination of breathing, trigger control, and environmental awareness developed through years of dedicated training. Mission success was confirmed as Sarah's teammates secured the compound and gathered intelligence materials that would prove invaluable for future operations. Her shooting performance had eliminated 7 enemy combatants without a single missed shot, demonstrating accuracy that exceeded the capabilities of many veteran snipers. The engagement had lasted less than 30 minutes, but its effects would influence the team's tactics and Sarah's reputation for years to come. The extraction helicopter arrived as planned, lifting the team away from the operational area before enemy reinforcements could arrive. Sarah broke down her shooting position efficiently, leaving no evidence of her presence for hostile forces to discover. Her rifle remained ready for immediate use during the flight back to base. Understanding that combat operations rarely ended cleanly and threats could emerge without warning until they reached friendly territory, debriefing sessions revealed the full impact of Sarah's shooting performance on mission success. Video footage from teammate helmet cameras showed the precision and timing of her shots, providing objective evidence of her capabilities under actual combat conditions. Senior officers who had questioned her integration into SEAL teams were forced to acknowledge that her performance had exceeded all expectations and contributed significantly to operational success. News of Sarah's combat performance spread through the special operations community, faster than official reports could travel through military channels. Her 7 confirmed kills during a single engagement had established a record that captured the attention of senior commanders throughout the theater of operations. The tactical video footage of her shots became required viewing for sniper training programs, demonstrating techniques and accuracy that instructors used as examples of perfect marksmanship under pressure. Commander Morrison found himself fielding requests from other SEAL teams and special operations units seeking Sarah's assignment to their missions. Her reputation had transformed from skeptical curiosity to genuine demand among operators who understood that her skills could mean the difference between mission success and failure. The political implications of her success were not lost on military leadership, who recognized that her achievements validated controversial decisions about women in combat roles. The second deployment brought more complex missions that tested Sarah's abilities in urban environments where precision shooting required different skills than mountain warfare. Dense civilian populations meant that missed shots could result in innocent casualties, adding psychological pressure to already demanding technical requirements. Sarah adapted her techniques to account for shorter distances, multiple angles, and time-sensitive target identification that challenged her decision-making abilities as much as her marksmanship. Intelligence. Operations increasingly relied on Sarah's unique combination of shooting skills and situational awareness. Her ability to remain undetected while providing overwatch allowed her teammates to gather information in hostile areas where traditional surveillance methods would be discovered quickly. Enemy forces had learned to expect SEAL operations, but Sarah's presence added an element of unpredictability that kept adversaries off balance. During critical phases of missions, the psychological warfare aspects of Sarah's reputation began affecting enemy behavior in measurable ways. Intercepted communications revealed that hostile forces were aware of her presence in the operational area and had modified their tactics to account for the threat she represented. Guards remained in covered positions longer, movement patterns became more erratic, and enemy commanders expressed genuine concern about sniper threats during their planning. Discussions, training responsibilities were added to Sarah's operational duties as senior commanders recognized the value of her experience for developing future operators. She began instructing advanced marksmanship courses where her techniques were studied and replicated by students who hoped to achieve similar levels of accuracy. Her teaching methods emphasized mental preparation and stress management as much as technical shooting skills. Lessons learned through her unique path to elite operator status. Media attention became unavoidable as Sarah's achievements attracted interest from journalists seeking to document the changing nature of military service. Official public affairs officers carefully managed her interactions with reporters, understanding that her story could influence public opinion about women in combat roles and military service in general. Sarah remained focused on her operational duties while navigating the political complexities of her unwanted celebrity status. The third deployment tested Sarah's leadership abilities as she was promoted to team leader for specialized missions requiring her unique skill set. Her responsibilities expanded beyond individual marksmanship, to include tactical planning, team coordination, and mission oversight. The transition from follower to leader challenged her in ways that combat operations had not, requiring different mental processes and communication skills than those needed for shooting excellence. International training exchanges brought Sarah into contact with elite operators from allied nations who were eager to learn from her experiences and techniques. British SAS, German KSK, and Israeli Special Forces representatives requested training opportunities that showcased American special operations capabilities. Sarah's instruction became a diplomatic tool that strengthened military relationships and demonstrated the effectiveness of progressive military policies. Equipment development projects began, incorporating Sarah's input as manufacturers recognized the value of her operational experience in designing improved sniper systems. Her recommendations influenced scope designs, rifle modifications, and ammunition development that benefited the broader special operations community. The technical knowledge she had gained through extensive combat experience proved invaluable for creating next-generation precision shooting equipment. Recognition ceremonies honored Sarah's achievements while carefully balancing military tradition with the political implications of her success. Awards and commendations acknowledged her contributions to mission success without creating unnecessary controversy about gender roles in military service. Sarah participated in these events reluctantly, preferring to focus on operational duties rather than ceremonial responsibilities that came with her elevated status. The fourth deployment brought Sarah's combat record to 23 confirmed kills, establishing her as one of the most successful snipers in modern military history. Each engagement demonstrated the same precision and professionalism that had characterized her first combat experience, proving that her initial success was not a fortunate accident, but the result of exceptional training and natural ability. Her teammates had complete confidence in her capabilities, understanding that her presence significantly increased their chances of mission success and survival. Advanced tactical responsibilities included planning and executing missions where Sarah's input shaped operational concepts from the earliest planning stages. Her understanding of sniper employment and battlefield geometry influenced how teams approached objectives and organized their movements. Senior commanders began consulting her during the planning phases of major operations, recognizing that her tactical insights could prevent casualties and improve mission effectiveness. The transformation was complete when former skeptics became Sarah's strongest advocates within the special operations community. Officers who had initially opposed her integration into SEAL teams now cited her achievements as evidence that merit should be the only consideration for elite military positions. Her success had changed institutional attitudes about women in combat roles, proving that capability and dedication mattered more than traditional expectations or physical stereotypes. The congressional hearing room fell silent as Sarah entered wearing her dress blue uniform, ribbons and decorations telling the story of her exceptional military service. Committee members who had spent months debating women's roles in combat operations now faced the living embodiment of their theoretical discussions. Her presence commanded respect that no amount of political rhetoric could diminish, forcing lawmakers to confront the reality of her achievements rather than abstract policy arguments. Sarah's testimony focused on operational effectiveness rather than political ideology, describing missions where her skills had saved American lives and achieved strategic objectives. She avoided inflammatory language or feminist talking points, instead presenting factual accounts of her service that spoke for themselves. Committee members struggled to reconcile her quiet professionalism with their preconceived notions about women seeking combat roles for political rather than patriotic reasons. The questions began cautiously, with senior senators testing Sarah's knowledge of military doctrine and special operations procedures. Her responses demonstrated comprehensive understanding of complex tactical concepts that exceeded the expertise of most committee members. She spoke about mission planning, team dynamics, and battlefield decision-making with authority that came from extensive combat experience rather than academic study or political briefing. Materials that opposition committee members attempted to discredit Sarah's achievements by suggesting that her success resulted from special treatment or lowered standards, rather than exceptional ability. Her response was devastating in its simplicity, offering to demonstrate her marksmanship skills against any competitor they might choose. The challenge went unanswered, as everyone in the room understood that her combat record spoke louder than any political argument could. Military witnesses testified about Sarah's impact on special operations effectiveness, presenting data that showed improved mission success rates when she participated in operations. Her teammates provided personal accounts of situations where her skills had prevented casualties and achieved objectives that would have been impossible without her contribution. These testimonies from combat veterans carried weight that no political testimony could match. Defense contractors described how Sarah's operational experience had influenced equipment development projects worth millions of dollars. Her input had improved sniper rifle designs, ammunition effectiveness, and tactical communication systems used throughout the military. The economic impact of her contributions extended far beyond her individual service record, demonstrating value that could be measured in improved capabilities for future operations. International military representatives testified about Sarah's role in training, exchanges, and diplomatic missions that had strengthened relationships with allied nations. Her instruction of foreign special operations personnel had showcased American military excellence while building partnerships that enhanced global security cooperation. The strategic value of her service extended beyond battlefield achievements to encompass broader national security objectives. The committee chairman attempted to steer discussions toward broader policy implications of women in combat roles, but Sarah deflected these efforts by emphasizing individual merit over group characteristics. She argued that military effectiveness should be the only consideration for assignment decisions, regardless of gender or any other demographic factors. Her position was difficult to argue against, given her demonstrated success in the most demanding military occupations. Former critics found themselves defending Sarah's service record when opposition committee members questioned the validity of her achievements. Military officers who had initially opposed women in SEAL teams now testified about her exceptional contributions to mission success and team effectiveness. The transformation of institutional attitudes was evident as senior commanders praised her service and recommended continued integration of qualified women into special operations roles. The final day of hearings featured Sarah's closing statement, delivered without prepared remarks or political advisors coaching her responses. She spoke about her grandfather's influence, her teammates' sacrifices, and her commitment to serving her country regardless of political controversies surrounding her presence in uniform. Her words carried emotional weight that transcended partisan divisions and reminded everyone present of the human cost of military service. Committee deliberations resulted in unanimous recommendations supporting expanded opportunities for women in combat roles, based largely on evidence provided by Sarah's service record. The political implications extended far beyond military policy, influencing broader discussions about gender equality and institutional change throughout government and society. Sarah's achievements had provided concrete evidence that challenged traditional assumptions about women's capabilities in demanding professions. Years later, Sarah's influence could be measured in the increased numbers of women attempting and succeeding in special operations training programs. Her techniques were taught in military schools worldwide, and her tactical innovations had become standard procedures for precision shooting operations. The institutional changes she had catalyzed continued to expand opportunities for future generations of military personnel. Retirement from active duty brought Sarah full circle to her grandfather's ranch in Texas, where she established a training facility for law enforcement and military snipers. Her students included Medal of Honor recipients, international special operations personnel, and young women inspired by her example to pursue careers in military service. The quiet ranch where she had learned to shoot as a child became a center of excellence that influenced tactical training throughout the world. The legacy Sarah created extended beyond her individual achievements to encompass fundamental changes in how military institutions evaluated capability and potential. Her service had proven that excellence recognized no demographic boundaries, and that institutional progress required challenging traditional assumptions with demonstrable performance. The young woman who had been told to walk away from SEAL training had instead transformed the entire special operations community through her unwavering commitment to excellence and service to her country.